Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and today I'm doing a discussion over Grimcoven, which is one of the newest games by Awaken Realms. Now, I was extremely excited for this game whenever it was first announced. There's multiple reasons. One, I love Awaken Realms and most of the games that they create. Two, I am really into boss battlers. They are some of my favorite games, or favorite genres. And three, that's pretty much it. It's pretty much those two reasons. So whenever they had announced a standalone boss battler kind of game, I was extremely intrigued. What's interesting is whenever this was originally delivered, and I was like looking through the stuff, and I was kind of like skimming through the rule book, I was kind of like, this game might not end up, it might just end up being just okay. And after having, played it, this is phenomenal. This is actually a really, really awesome game. And there's so much that this game has going for it. One, I'm trying to think of even where to begin. So, whenever you're looking at this genre, it's definitely a popping genre. Whether it's a campaign game or just a standalone boss battler, there's a lot of them coming out. Especially with Kingdom Death Monster having been like the sole, game in that. Then there was Aeon Trespass Odyssey, and now there's tons of competition that it's kind of like, another boss battler. Like, how is this one different? So I'm going to try and go over how this one is different from all the others, because, I could definitely see that kind of fatigue. Well, one, this one is not a campaign. That is one that is kind of, even for me who loves campaign games, a breath of fresh air, because there's a lot of commitment. Hell, even every time I get a campaign game in, I'm like, fuck, how am I supposed to get this one played? Because I like to do them for the channel, even if I wasn't trying to do them for the channel. It's like I have so many campaigns and so many friends that I can't get them all played. This one, because all you have to do is there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 grief bounds is what they're called. So essentially 8 bosses. And each of those bosses has 5 scenarios to them. So all you have to do is you pick a boss and you pick a scenario and you set it up. You pick what character you want to play, and then you go from there. And that's it. Like there's a slight story element, but it's literally just kind of like a flavor text intro. And what's actually fascinating about the narrative element to the game is it seems to be kind of like a lore on the bosses. Actually, it's not like what I was expecting is like, oh, you're part of this coven or these hunters, which definitely gives me Bloodborne vibes, which is amazing because Bloodborne's probably my second favorite game of all time at this point now. It just kind of gives you a little bit of a backstory on the actual bosses, but that's it. Like, you read that. It doesn't even really give us a reason why we're fighting them. Honestly, it's kind of disconnected from the actual game. But you set up the scenario, and then you fight it. And so that's really cool. It's a standalone boss fight, and there's not that many of them. Like, Townsfolk Tussle is another boss battler that is kind of on its own. So that's awesome. Then the uniqueness of your characters, which there's also not a whole lot of characters, but there's a depth to them that I kind of really like, especially in a game where you're trying to, whenever I'm comparing a bunch of these kinds of games where I want deep character customization based off of like items and loot and things like that, this game doesn't have that either, but it has such a unique way that your characters level up and progress through the course of the actual scenario. Nothing connects. Like, it's not like, oh, okay, here's my build, here's what I got, now this goes into the next scenario. Nope, doesn't have any of that. And yet I still find the actual gameplay so satisfying. Because what's amazing is since there's not a million characters and a million bosses, they all are different from one another, like in radically different ways. I mean, take just the tutorial that it gives you, which is serviceable at best. Like the tutorial is actually not that great because it only takes you through a round and doesn't really explain all that much. The two characters that it has you start with, the gunslinger and the duality, both of those play so radically different from one another that you have both extreme strengths and extreme weaknesses whenever you're combating the Griefbound. And then, so you have a lot of depth between the characters and the actual bosses from one another, which is just amazing. And then you also have the variety of the same characters and the same bosses. It's not just like they're one note on themselves. You get a different playstyle within your own character and a different playstyle within the same Griefbound as you're fighting it over and over. Because technically, the way there's an epilogue that you can only read if you actually beat each Griefbound in each scenario. It gives you a sheet to keep track of. Literally, you can just go into the rulebook and read it, but you're not supposed to. So, I absolutely love the way that this game is set up, because while, yes, I love my campaign games, this one, I feel, would get to the table way more. Take Oathsworn, for example, which is one of my absolute favorite boss battlers, and I love the way that is designed and the way those bosses are, the way you fight those bosses. It's a campaign. You can't really just pick a boss and fight it. I mean, you probably can, but you're supposed to, play through the campaign. So if I want to play that again, I have to play through the campaign. Here, I don't. I can just pick a Griefbound, a character, and go. So that's awesome. Now, let's go into the actual mechanisms of the way that you actually fight. So they take a lot of inspiration, I feel, funny enough, from Oathsworn and also Cthulhu Death May Die, two of my favorite games. They're in my top 100 of all time, and I absolutely love it. So the Griefbound, how you actually kill it is so unique. It has attack cards, and based off the setup, depending on where you're fighting, each Griefbound has level 1, 2, and 3 cards. And depending on the number of players and which scenario you have, you take a certain number of those, shuffle them up, and that's its attack deck. You actually wound and kill the Griefbound by attacking its attack cards. So it's kind of a pseudo mix of Cthulhu Death May Die, of Kingdom Death Monster, and Aeon Trespass Odyssey is it's kind of its health, but also its body parts. So based off the Griefbound's level, which it will level up over the course of a scenario, that's how much damage you have to do to it. So there are these level markers. That, let's say it's level 1, you will have its health, its attack card come out, and then it'll have an arrow that'll point to one of these numbers. And that's how much damage you have to do to it to be able to kill an attack card. And they might have a body part assigned to it, which could matter towards your attacks. I know the gunslinger, for example, his one of his weapons does extra damage to the head. So if you happen to have an attack card that says head, cool, you're going to do more damage to that attack card. But what's interesting is that whenever you're looking at its attack cards, they have a focused keyword. So what's awesome, and this is where I see the Oathsworn inspiration, is all of the attack cards are face up. So you actually get to see exactly what the enemy is going to do on its next turn, so you can plan accordingly. You can see, oh, this is, okay, on its turn, it's going to do this, then this, and this, and this. And unless we completely do a bunch of damage to completely remove this card, this is what's going to happen. So if we can't do that damage, how can we position ourselves in a way that we're not going to be completely, wrecked by this? And there's a couple things that I love about this. One, you're not getting top decked. You're not flipping a card and be like, okay, cool, we had no way to plan for that. Okay, that's I guess we lose. And even though you get to see what it's doing, this is what I loved about Oathsworn, even though you can see what it's doing, I mean, chances are it's still going to affect you in some way. Then it has this focused keyword, which is really cool because it's like an extra ability. Like, if you leave a card completely unchecked, then it's going to be way worse for you. So to deal with the focused effect of the card, you have to do damage to that card equal to the number of players, which isn't going to be enough to kill it, but you might be able to damage him in such a way that's not as bad. So, like, if it says, like one card that this boss that we just fought, the Undead General, he has a card where he will basically, like, have minions move and then give you a bunch of burn status, and then they do it again. So if you can damage him in a 2-player game, damage that card twice, he's not going to do the burn effect multiple times. And I think that is such an awesome aspect, because you have to make a decision whenever you're deciding to attack and try and kill his card, is like, are we going to try and go all in to try and kill this one card, or and deal with none of the minions, none of the elites, nothing else? Do we just want to try and kill this one card? Or do we just do enough damage to it that it's not going to be as bad? Like, we can kind of either put all our eggs in one basket, or divide and conquer, do some damage to the elite, kill some minions, and also attack the Griefhound so it doesn't do as much damage. I really, really like that aspect of this game. Because on top of all of that, underneath because he has 2 attack cards that are face up. He says this turn and then the next turn. So you can see his next two rounds. But under the this turn card is an opportunity, meaning that if you attack the card that is going to go into effect after the hunter phase, then you get an opportunity. And this is also a really cool aspect, because each Griefbound has multiple opportunity cards that will kind of change based off of what the scenario has you do. So if you actually completely kill an attack card that's in this turn slot, then you'll have an opportunity, and that basically has you roll a die. And there's I think this is a D12. I've been trying to, but there's one icon on it that basically will have you not refill the attack slot. And then there's others that basically still gives you benefits for completely killing a card. So you get an opportunity for having wounded the Griefbound. But it's a double-edged sword, because if you get the really good result, the benefit is that he doesn't get an attack. He doesn't get to do anything. It's like if you completely wounded him for that phase. But there are other options that it's like you still get a benefit for it, but then you refill the attack slots, meaning that the card in the next turn slot moves over. So it's like, okay, we removed the one that we didn't want to happen, but now we've advanced to this next card that we don't have enough attack actions to be able to wound, so he's going to be doing this next card. So you have this really awesome kind of double-edged sword aspect whenever you're deciding to attack the Griefhound, just like you do in Oathsworn. Oathsworn, if you haven't played it, has the top card of the enemy's attack face up, but then if you break a location, because you're trying to break a bunch of different locations on the boss, if you break a location, that's going to interrupt, and now the card's going to go off. So you have that decision of, at some point, we're going to have to wound the enemy and have his attack go off. So when do we do that? When's the best optimal time to do that? This game has that in a very unique way that it's... I mean, I guess you could look at all the cards and be like, okay, based off all these slots and based off all its level, this is how much health the boss has. But because it levels up, that's going to change. What a card, what would have been a 5 damage card, now becomes a 6 or a 7. And if you take way too long, then the Grimcoven just levels up to where, pretty much from what I've noticed, the leveling up just does change the health of the cards. So you might have some cards that is like, oh, this is a 7 damage to level up right now, but because he's leveled up once more, it's now 10. So it does a really awesome balance of progression. As you're leveling up, so is the enemy. So I really like that. And then also it has a final act card. So you don't have to get rid of every single attack card. You have to get rid of all of them except 2. And then once you reveal the final act card, that basically gets rid of all the other 2. And then from now on, it's going to be doing this one card over and over and over each time the Griefbound goes until you kill it. And this one is kind of interesting, because when you reveal the final act, it completely ends the hunter phase, and then it just immediately goes to the enemy phase. And the enemy phase, I also really like, because the way this game is set up, it doesn't follow the typical formula of, oh, boss goes first, then you, and then so on and so forth. It's hunters actually get to go first, which is awesome, so you get to set up the board and be like, okay, cool, let's do something. But there's so much more that goes on the enemy phase. There's literally 5 steps. It's not just you versus the Griefbound. There are minions, there are events, there are elites. Like, you can lose based off an event deck that is like seeded whenever you're setting up the scenario. But you have an event phase. Then you have minions to deal with, which, again, minions only have 1 health, but I could definitely tell you, if you don't take care of them, they will overrun you. Then you have elites, that there's only 1 of them, and they have a decent amount of health. But since there's only 1, it's not that bad, but if you leave it unchecked, he'll catch you off guard. There could be up to 2 elites. Then it goes to the Griefbound attack, and then it goes to like this wheel based off the level of the Griefbound that will move, that will cause like a special effect, cause more spawning of minions, cause a stage card to be drawn, which is unique to the Griefbound as well. So while the hunters do get to go first, there's a lot that happens in the enemy phase. So by completely starting the final act and then it ending your turn immediately, then it goes to the enemy phase where it does all of that, that's interesting. But it goes to 1 unique card that is set up by the scenario, and whenever you wound that card, you have to roll a die. And this is the part that I don't hate, but it is kind of it's extremely luck based. So this is going to go hand in hand. I don't think it's really a negative, but it's not a positive either. So with the final act and with defeating the elite monsters, after you do that, after you either kill the final act card or you kill an elite, you roll this die. And if you get the 1 out of 12 symbol, you win. You just kill the Griefbound, or you kill the elite and the elite's removed from the game, or you win the game. Any other result prolongs the actual fight. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, because in my experience, granted, it depends. The scenarios get harder and harder. The other results just kind of prolong the rest of the game. Now, in terms of an elite, so how an elite works is basically it has like this delay counter on it. So if you remove him, yeah, it gives you the resource you need to level up your character. But you roll a die and it's like, oh, okay, I didn't get that symbol, so basically let's put 3 delay counters on him so he's going to come back. And sometimes I could be like, well, I kind of just wish he would be gone, which can happen. Actually, funny enough, I just rolled the icon that you need. So it does rely on a die that if you do roll that icon, then it's like, yay, he's gone. That's a load off our mind. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I think I'd rather it have a decent amount of health and then you just kill him. But I guess they're elites for a reason, so you just kind of make him retreat and then eventually he comes back. Since it is a standalone kind of scenario, pushing him back for 2 or 3 full rounds is actually a pretty long time. So by the time he does come back, you've probably leveled up or done enough to be able to handle him when he does. So it's not that bad, but it can feel a little bit disappointing whenever you put all of your resources into wounding like an elite, and then you roll a die and it's like, oh great, he comes back in 2 turns. Whenever you just wish you would have killed him. And then the way the final act works is if you kill the card, you remove all the damage from it. And if you don't get that one symbol where you just outright kill him, then you lower the level of the Griefbound. And if you can't lower it any, this one it's worded very poorly in my opinion. That it's like if you can't lower it anymore, then you win. So it's not like you have to roll that symbol. That would be absolute trash if it just kept going until you rolled. You got insanely lucky. Luckily, it's not that. So it's like either do you insta-kill him or do you lower his level. Like the thing says, if you roll a certain symbol, you reduce the level of the Griefbound by 3. And then the other one is you reduce the level by 2. So it's like, I mean, what do you mean that I can't reduce it anymore? If he's level 3 and I roll the symbol that reduces it by 3, does that mean he goes to 0 and then we kill him? Or does he go to 0 and then we have to attack him again to be able to reduce it again? It's not really clear anywhere. So the way we've been playing it is just, okay, if his level hits 0, then you kill him. So yeah, it's a little bit weird. I do like the final act card. It's kind of a last stand on the Griefbound, like a cornered animal, is where he's just going to be spamming this attack over and over. But yeah, it's very... It is unique, I will say. The other aspect of the actual attack cards that I really like is that if you do damage to it, to an attack card, but you don't kill it, that damage is removed. Like, he'll do his attack card, it'll advance the attack track, and then any damage that was on that gets removed. But you can attack the next turn card. So, from my understanding, that damage does stay. So you can kind of preemptively do damage to it, because both of those cards have health tracks. But it's like, the reason why you would want to attack a current turn card, this turn card, is to remove the focus, which is definitely super beneficial. So yeah, love the way the Griefbound works. It's extremely unique. Each of them, I mean, they tie in so well with, like, even the event deck. Like, the event cards, there's random events. Each of them kind of has a top and bottom effect, where the top effect is a universal generic effect that can be applied to any Griefbound you fight. But the bottom effect goes off if you're fighting a specific Griefbound. I really like that because whenever you're setting up the event deck, you seed in a certain amount of Griefbound specific cards and then randos. So the event deck is very universal, and I like that. And then you also have the unique ones based off the Griefbound, which is super cool. Then the minions, they are what they are. They're minions. They swarm. They spawn super like, it's extremely simple on how they spawn. I also like the aspect, because normally I don't like swarms, but the minions are awesome because they feel super easy, but then if you leave them alone, then they become a problem. I really like that. The elites are also a little bit more advanced. They're a little bit more tough, but there's only one of them. Really like that. The stage cards are awesome because they're hyper-specific to the Griefbound. So, and this is all to accentuate the fact that each Griefbound feels completely unique from one another. It is amazing how different they feel. So, because it's a boss battler, I really wanted to focus on the bosses. Then we come to our characters. Uh, and these guys, it is so awesome. Because what had me kind of concerned was on your turn, you, based off the armor and the weapon that you choose, and I was going to say each character has 3 of each. I don't think that's the case. But they have multiple armors and multiple weapons, and you just pick which combination you want. But that's going to dictate what starting dice you have. And on your turn, your actions are determined based off the die roll. And that was what my original concern was, oh great, so if I want to sprint or if I want to attack, I need to get specific symbols, and I could just get completely hosed. Luckily, that has not been the case, because my idea of randomness, where it bugs me in a lot of games, is whenever I want to do something and then the die tells me whether or not I can, and versus, oh, I get to see what the result is and then try and form my strategy around that. So whenever it's your turn, you guys just take your dice and then you roll them, and there's different colored dice that have different like probabilities of faces. Like your black is your more attack, your blue is your defense, green is movement, purple is kind of more of your special. It has like a cleanse symbol on it. And you roll those, and as you level up, you'll be able to either choose to get unique evolution cards or more dice. And it's a fantastic balance as you're leveling up throughout the game, because it's like, do you want more attack options, but then you have less dice, because the dice are kind of your actions. And if you have little dice but a lot of cards, then yeah, you have more options for those dice, but you're not really getting to do much in the hunter phase. So there's a really awesome balance of how many extra cards do I want versus extra dice. But yeah, then what's also really cool is there's easy ways for you to get what's called tactics, which are rerolls. And those are, I mean, it's an action to get those, but you can get them and then just re-roll your dice. So you have enough dice mitigation. And then they have this really cool action called assisting that helps even further with 1, dice mitigation, and 2, cooperation. Because if I need a specific icon, like let's say I wanted to do this Slash of Opposites card, and it requires 2 daggers. Well, 1, I could either hopefully roll a double dagger on the black die. If I don't get that, and I roll 2 single daggers, then I can do that for a little less action economy. Or if I'm going second and the first player happened to roll double daggers, but they don't need it, they can do what's called an assist, where they take that die, put it into their assist slot, and hand over this token to another player, and now that token acts as that die. So it's like, cool, hey, I don't need this double dagger for any of my cards, but I know you need it. I go before you, so let me go ahead and assist you, hand this to you. Now this token acts as that, so now you basically have an extra die. Absolutely love that type of cooperation, because you're not just looking at your own results and hoping you can do something. There's so much fantastic cooperation in this game, just because there's a lot that has to do with positioning of enemies, positioning of yourself, positioning of other hunters to gain benefits or an advantage on the actual situation. So I really, really like that. I love this dice system. On top of that, every character has like their own unique gimmick about them. The last game I played was the gunslinger, just because my D&D character is a gunslinger, and he doesn't have a lot of ways to get multiple attacks, but he has a ton of ways to do a single, like a really powerful shot, because he has like this bullet system where he forges bullets, and he basically has these bullet tokens he can stack on a bunch of cards, and when he does a shot, he can spend all those bullets to get all the benefits, which could be it ignores obstacles, it ignores line of sight, it does extra damage, it attacks every minion and every enemy in a single zone, and you could just do a lot of dice to build up into one really powerful shot, which is awesome. Plus, he has insane range with like the long rifle, so he plays radically different from all the other characters. One uses like a deck of cards, another uses like this sword diagram. It is incredibly fascinating, because whenever you kill enemies or you kill attack cards, you get what's called Lament, and that's kind of your XP, more or less. And you have this corruption track that in various locations are these unlock symbols. So like the very first one costs 1 Lament for you to go up to number 1, and then you get to draw 2 cards, and you either get to pick one of these to level up, or you can not take any of these, and that's how you get your extra dice. Love that decision. It's such an awesome idea of being like, okay, which one do I want? Because every time, all of these cards are good, and every single character has this unique deck of evolution cards that are either... it's not 100% unique, like it's not like every single card in this deck is different, but most of them are, which is good enough, because there are some in here that's like, man, I'd really love 2 of those. But like I was looking through the evolution decks, and I was like, how different are these? And it's like, I think I saw like 3 cards that had doubles, and the rest were all different. So love the evolution system, but then it's like, man, both of these are really good, but I need more dice. Okay, I'm not gonna take these, but which dice do I want? And then you just look at all your cards you have picked, and you're like, which symbol do I need the most of? And then you take that die, or which symbol do my teammates need the most of? Maybe I can take a die that's going to help them out with like an assist action. And then you also have your generic actions: run, sprint, tactic, cleanse, getting rid of status tokens and stuff like that. It really is an awesome system. And then the corruption track. This is where the Cthulhu Death May Die inspiration to me comes from. Is the higher you go up, the more powerful you're getting, because you're getting more actions, you're getting more evolution cards. But at the beginning of every Lament phase, which is the level up phase, you have to draw a corruption card. And this does a couple things. One, as you like thematically absorb more Lament, you become kind of more corrupted and more hungry. So if you have hunger tokens, it kind of forces you to attack your other players. Now, I don't know how I feel about that necessarily, because it's kind of like, I mean, if you can avoid hunger tokens, then you just ignore that symbol. But if you do happen to get some, a lot of later rounds or later corruption effects basically force you to gain hunger, and then you're kind of like, oh, I have to move towards the nearest hunter and attack them. So that part is kind of like whatever, but then the actual corruption, where it's like, where's your corruption? Between 0 and 4 do this effect, 5 and 11 do this effect, and 12 to 20 do this effect. That I do really like, because you are actively making the decision to level up, as you should, kind of like what you do in Cthulhu Death May Die. You want to get more powerful, but you don't want to get more powerful too quickly, because it's there's a fine balance, because in Cthulhu Death May Die, that gives you more dice, gives you more abilities available to you to level up. Here does the exact same thing, except whenever you max out, actually whenever you get to 15, you go to your corrupted side, which gives you a one-time super powerful effect, and then it upgrades your passive ability, which is awesome. But then you have the chance of becoming a pretender, which is another really cool system that basically has your characters become bosses, like pseudo-bosses that you have to take care of, which is awesome. So technically, there are more than 8 grief bounds. But the higher you go, yes, the higher your level up system is, but then you're basically going to be constantly attacking your teammates, and that's not great. So really like that kind of double-edged sword system. It's awesome. The one thing about the actual characters that I'm not, and it's not even specifically to the characters, but it's is the concept of defense tokens. So the defense tokens only have 2 and 4, values, and this is weird. I don't really know why it works, but there's basically ways for you to just naturally get armor, but it's only in those values. So you can either block 2 damage, or you can block 4 damage, neither giving you change. So if you have a 4 armor, and you take 2 damage, it's not like you get change back. So at max, unless you have other cards that give you stuff, at max you can only ever block 4 damage from coming at you. It's weird. Like I said, it works because you have natural ways just with your armor that you picked at the beginning to just get it. So you have consistent ways to avoid damage. It's just it's odd. It's really odd that it's in multiples of 2 and it only goes up to 4. And so if you have 2 armor and you do something again that gives you 2 armor, now you have 4 armor. But that's it. So you can get kind of, chumped for it. Like if you have 4 armor and then you have a minion that attacks you for 1 damage, there goes all your armor. So it's kind of weird, but you also have different ways that you can heal. So yeah, that's kind of, again, it's not really negative because it works, but it is just an odd decision that I think they made. And then, so that's the characters. The characters are awesome. Then we go to kind of the board itself. And it's actually kind of fascinating because I have gotten 2 Awakened Realms games in basically back-to-back weeks, it felt like. And they came out in the same year. Grimcoven and Stalker. And it almost feels like they were designed at around the same time because they both have aspects. Or maybe it's just kind of like, hey, this is just what Awakened Realms does. And you can kind of see their production quality and their design process, similar to how CGE games are, where you see a CGE game and you're like, based off that component quality and that rulebook and these designs, I can tell this is a CGE game. Same thing with Awakened Realms, because both of those games do a couple things. They make line of sight incredibly simple, which I absolutely love, and they have kind of environmental cards that kind of change from scenario to scenario. In this game, line of sight is so straightforward that I just love it because it's just in orthogonal straight lines. It's no center to a center. It's no take 2 points and point them to a spot. None of that. It's just, if you are here in this spot, it is straight that way, straight this way, straight this way. And unless a tile has an eye with a slash through it, you can see them. The only thing that blocks line of sight is tiles with that symbol. Like, people don't block line of sight. Enemies don't block line of sight. If there's the giant-ass Griefbound miniature right here, and then the enemy is right here, and I'm shooting this way, I can hit the mini. And some people might not like that. Some people might wish that there was a more complex line of sight system, but I have played so many games in this genre that is a breath of, and they're serviceable in a bunch of other games. I mean, some games you can appreciate having the laser pointer to see if you can see stuff, but it is a breath of fresh air in both Grimcoven and Stalker to be like, can I see you? Straight line, yes or no, and that's it. Now, Stalker's a little bit weird because it's kind of like there's a lot of open area, and it's like, okay, I should be able to completely see this person, but based off the game, I can't shoot them. That one's a little bit more niche. This one, I think the line of sight is extremely serviceable. But what's really cool is that each scenario has like different types of terrain, and there are multiple terrain environment cards. Like this is forest terrain, this one is river terrain, and based on what's out there, you shuffle up the terrain, you draw it, and then now these are kind of like actions or effects that you can do. and some will have these what are they called? Landmarks. Random landmarks that get put in that have an effect that you can go do. Others will have these area cards that you randomly shuffle. Like the scenario will be like draw a random area, and that will add in a tile to a specific spot that will give you a unique action. So there's not a ton of these in the game, but there's enough that like you're gonna get a different combination whenever you're playing. And like this last game we played, the river was such a key element because there was a chance that if a minion ran into it, it would be affected, and it could just be rushed away in the river and drown. So that was extremely helpful. There are these treasure chests you can go get that have ways to heal you, give you an extra die, or a one-time effect whenever you go and collect them. And then they also have these lament tokens that one spawns lament, which like I said is your XP, and it also is the randomization of where minions spawn. And the way minions spawn is also extremely straightforward. Whenever it's time to spawn minions, it just says, oh, count the number of minions, +1, that's where they start to spawn. So if there are 3 minions out and you have to spawn, let's just say 2, oh, there's 3 + 1 is 4, they start on the 4 lament spot, and then they just go up. So it's 4 or 5. So if you have no minions out, you can actually plan accordingly and be like, oh, we could see he's going to spawn. We didn't do enough damage to prevent this. So there's no minions out. Great. Let's position ourselves to where whenever the minions do come out, they're going to spawn at 1 and 2. It is so clean and so straightforward. And you might think, oh, well, if it's so simple, like line of sight or seeing the enemy's cards or seeing where the minions are going to spawn, that means this game is easy. Absolutely not. No, somehow they have found a way to make this game so balanced that, again, based off the scenario, like scenario 1 is meant to be easier, and then you go up to scenario 5, which they get progressively harder. No, I mean, the game feels tense the entire time. The first time that we fought the undead general, we got our dick smashed in. It was bad. And it does this really cool thing because, like, if you play any, FromSoft games, Dark Souls or Elden Ring or anything like that, whenever you go to fight a boss for the first time, like, typically that's your best, that's like your best attempt. You're like, man, I almost killed him first try, that's awesome. And then you have to fight him 30 more times after that. But typically the first time is you figuring out what the boss does. And that's what this game does. This game does an awesome job of making you have to go and fight the boss and be like, okay, what's this boss's gimmick? What's its mechanisms? Oh, okay, cool. The Undead General is a mob boss. Not a mob boss, but he's a boss with swarms. He doesn't do a whole lot himself, but he really buffs his minions. So if you can keep his minions in check, then you can kind of do well against him. But if you don't roll well, or you decide to kind of leave some around, he can just spawn a bunch, and then he activates them super quick. It can become overbearing very quickly. So you have that awesome kind of element of like, how does this boss fight, and how are we going to try and build to counter that? On top of dealing with the scenarios, on top of dealing with the elites, it is such a really cool balance system, which is amazing because typically, when you can see what the enemy's doing, you would think that you'd be able to completely counter it. And sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't, and you just kind of have to eat it, but it feels so satisfying whenever you can kind of overcome that throughout the course of a game. Yeah, I love, and then kind of like what I was saying with the Awakened Realms, you could see its design. They've done something since the very beginning. I think the only game that doesn't have it is Nemesis. At least the first one that I can remember. Maybe this War of Mine, but this War of Mine's kind of a little bit different. At least in their most recent games. Tainted Grail has it. I think Isis Vanguard has it. This game definitely has it. Stalker has it. Are these secret cards. So these are interesting because there's, again, not a lot of them, and some effects just constantly have you draw from them. Like, Secret Card 1 is basically if you get a curse status effect, you just draw a random secret card 1, and that's your curse. Secret card 2 is a critical injury, and then other effects can have you draw a certain secret card, like the Hangman's Tree. You can, as an action, go to a specific spot and draw one of 2 secret cards. The Well, if you roll a specific result, lets you resolve a secret card. I love that. I love that element in their games because it adds a slight element of mysticism, some uniqueness. Stalker, like I said, has it, where it's just going to kind of change up. Even if you run the same scenario, you're going to get a different level of environmental effects and some different secret card effect. And there's enough there that some of them you draw based off corruption cards or event cards that make you draw them. It's just really cool. I really like that element in the game. So that's the secret cards. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, this game has so much going for it. At least for me personally. Like, I love the theme. I love the miniatures. This is really a absolutely unique boss battler that takes inspiration from a few other, at least some mechanisms from a few other games, but still kind of twists them to where it's not like, oh, this is basically that. Like Stars of Ikarios, for example, which is another campaign game. It's like, oh, this is X-Wing and Gloomhaven. Like 100% this is just Gloomhaven in space. This didn't do that. This didn't take, oh, this is the corruption system in Cthulhu Death May Die. Cool. It's, oh, I can see this. This is definitely from that, but it's different. Yeah, like, I love the dice system. Love the placement, the maneuverability on the board. What's fascinating about this game is it doesn't become like stand here and just whittle a boss's health bar down, like Madara boss fights, where it's like, cool, this thing has 800 health. Okay, we're just gonna stand here and just attack it and not really touch the board. You are constantly moving. And they do this really cool thing where these portals are in position spots, and if you do a sprint action, you can run through them and appear. So you have insane movement flexibility where if you're feeling cornered, like in the first game, we ever played of this and we were swarmed by minions, it's like, I have a long rifle, I can't even attack these guys, so I need to run out, and it's like, cool, I can sprint and I can rush through this portal and get to the other side of the map. So positioning matters. Where certain obstacles are on the map can actually surprisingly, like the one tile that has no, like, it's like a fog tile that blocks line of sight, you're like, oh, it's just one tile, like that's not that big of a deal. It actually comes into effect. It's like, oh, that's annoying. Where the enemy is, I can't get far enough away and still shoot him, so I have to get close. It is extremely strategic and with a ton of variety in the game, with how many grief bounds there are, how many scenarios each one of them has, and the games are relatively long. Like, they're at least 2 hours for you to play through. So there's a ton of game here without it being bloat. Like, in my opinion, it's like it feels like like you have enough. You have enough bosses to actually fight, and then there are tons of characters that can also be bosses. There are tons of elites in the game. There are tons of well, there's actually just 2 types of minions, convicted and undead. But there's different types of those 2. Different stage, or not different stage cards, but unique stage cards, unique attack cards, unique event cards. There is so much variety here without it being completely like, this is just a bunch of shit. And then they also have a thing for personal stories, which they have in like all their games now. Like Stalker has it, Isis Vanguard has it, I think this War of Mine has it. I don't know, I can't remember if Tainted Grail has it. But gives you a little bit more lore into your characters. So not only are the characters extremely diverse by their passives, but also by their evolution deck, they can actually go through their personal stories, which gives you lore on the characters that unlocks even more cards for them. So that's really cool. And then the other amazing thing about this, the evolution deck, is there's so many cards here, you're not going to be able to unlock them all. At max, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there are 8. So at max, if you kept your starting 5 dice, you could have 8 cards. Out of this entire deck, you can get 8 cards. And you're not even going to. You're not even going to. You're going to, most likely, I would assume most people are picking 4 cards and 4 dice if they're getting all the way to 20. But you might not even do that. On top of the uniqueness of the weapons you can pick and the uniqueness of the armor combination, it's actually amazing, in my opinion, how they managed to have such a variety and replayability without having it feel like limited, or it's like, I got enough game here. And it's not a campaign, which is awesome. So, in terms of negatives, I mean, possible negatives can easily be luck. Like, if you just aren't rolling the symbols that you need. Like, it still does come down to, I need these hyper-specific symbols, and if I don't get them, then I can't attack. Like, there can be moments where you might not get Lament because you're not killing anyone. Although I will say Lament spawns on the map, so you can at least move. You might not level up as quickly as everyone else, but you can at least kind of slowly progress. So you could just run around and grab that. What's also cool is by killing attack cards or killing elites, the person who kills the card gets more Lament, but then everyone else gets a little bit. So there's that, so you're never quite left hanging. But yeah, that could definitely be a thing. It could just easily be, I rolled all my dice, I needed these symbols, I didn't get any. Okay, I'll try and get a tactic to use to be able to reroll my dice. Even doing that, I still didn't get the results, so this might just be a dead turn. So that can still probably frustrate some people. And yeah, I mean, the difficulty is certainly there. Like doing the same scenario, I mean, even though you might just get completely whooped by the boss, but because it's not a campaign, you don't have to worry about no fail forward. You don't have to worry about, oh, okay, I guess we just have to redo the scenario. That's annoying. Nope. I mean, you do have to redo the scenario, but it's not in the purposes of a campaign where you're not progressing the campaign. There's nothing to progress. It's just you play a game. And that's also such a breath of fresh air. Yeah, it is a table hog, but surprise. The other thing, though, I actually will say, while these minis are amazing, I guess they did take another thing from Cthulhu Death May Die. The tiles are kind of small, because each tile space can hold 4 units. The Griefbound takes up 2. They can get pretty cluttered if everyone's, like, swarming you. It's not the worst thing in the world, where it's, like, literally just this is way too tiny, but I kind of wish the tiles were a little bit bigger. So from a production standpoint, I think that's kind of annoying. But again, it's not that big of a deal. I don't really have that many, like, major negatives. I think the defense is kind of weird, with just being values 2 and 4. The corruption track, where you kind of have to attack your other, your fellow players based off your hunger, that's not awesome. I don't hate it, but, I mean, it is kind of weird. Yeah. And then also the final act in the elite, completely outright killing an elite or outright winning based off the final act is based off a die roll. I guess it could be exciting. I've never had it happen though. Every time we've killed an elite, it delays them. So we've never ever had it outright just remove them. But I guess it is a consistent source of lament if he keeps coming out. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they did try it, and if just outright killing him made it too easy or something. But But yeah, so again, everything that's kind of a negative is just more of like a, it's not my favorite, but I don't hate it, so it's just kind of weird. But yeah, I really don't have anything that's just outright, this sucks. So yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, man, I really, really like this game. Is a 10 too high? You know, comparing it to a bunch of other boss battlers, whether it's campaign or not, like Oathsworn, Townsfolk Tussle, Aeon Trespass Odyssey, Kingdoms Forlorn, I think this stands with them, honestly. I think it's completely unique on its own. Love the theme. It's also way more streamlined than a lot of those, which gets it brownie points because I don't have to live in the rule book to, if I like take a break from this, it's just like, oh yeah, okay. Now there's a few things that aren't like crystal clear, but like they've been able to be figured out. Fuck it, I'm gonna do it. Grimcoven gets a 10 from me. It just does so many things right. Like, and I don't know if they're gonna support it. Like I said, there's already tons of content for it that I'd be fine if this was done. But if they came out and announced an expansion for it, because boss battlers live and die by the bosses, and even though the bosses that I haven't fought all of them, but the ones that I fought have been amazing and completely unique, I would just love more characters, more bosses. Like I don't know. I'd be very, very happy if they announced more stuff for it. So it's gonna get a 10 from me, and I will not apologize. So that's it, everyone. That's my thoughts on Grimcoven. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.